children alike and say, okay, wait, this is wrong. We can't allow this.
Hey, for our viewers just popping in, I apologize to cut you off. I just realized that for this first 5 minutes, the video was not showing. I'm using a program I haven't used. It should be showing now. I just want to apologize for that error. Next week, I'll make sure to not let that happen.
Well, this is our first show, and guess what, James? We're not perfect. Did you know that?
No, we're not. Oh, man.
Well, according to Jehovah's Witnesses, you should be able to act perfect, but hey, this is real life, and sometimes we make mistake, people. It
So,
happens.
so my apologies. I hope everybody who watches this either now or later has at least heard the first bit with the audio. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. So we'll see. I'll have to look at it afterwards and really get down on my knees and beg for the forgiveness of our
Mhm.
audience.
I think that you really should. That's the only way to show that you're humble. We
Yes.
made the announcement. Everybody knows that you've made a mistake now. You've got your public you're publicly reproved.
I'll be
Uh,
publicly reproved. Well, the good thing is right now is you're not of the proper gender to publicly reprove me. So
oh, I don't have the authority.
no. And see, here's the other thing. Like I'm wearing the hat. You should have something covering your face. I mean head.
Wait, my face. Jeez, like I didn't know it was like that, James. I mean, okay, if you really don't, this is fine.
Yeah, there
Just
we go.
pretend we're in Iran.
Oh jeez.
I mean,
That
they've got their own troubles, religious troubles too. A lot of this is again from
now
people who are zealots.
speaking of Iran, I will say a good thing I did see is they abolished the morality police over there.
Don't believe it, my friend. Sorry.
Oh,
This is what I would like to tell everybody who's watching. I suggest that you find some really good diaspora. Like I have so many people on TikTok that I follow and on Twitter that are Iranian diaspora. So they have family, they have connections. They're hearing and they're seeing what's happening on the ground. They're not getting this Islamic State media because that is exactly what that is. That is just media propaganda from the Islamic regime. They're not, regardless if they abolish
okay.
the morality police, it doesn't mean shit because they're not connected to their judiciary committee. Like their legal system is so different, but I promise you, everybody goes back to Khamenei. Khamenei, however you say it. So regardless if something's abolished, something's changed, it still goes back to the higher up who says death to America, death to people who don't want to worship their way. So yes, no, not abolished. Even if it
Okay.
was, wouldn't matter. Sorry.
No,
Just
no,
just
that's fine. I appreciate being corrected on things like that because
yeah.
I don't want to put out
It's
information that's
important.
wrong. So,
Right.
no, thank you for that.
And
But
you know what I can do too? What I'll do afterwards is I will give you a list of people if you'd like to be able to put it into like the show description.
mhm,
If that people are interested in finding some really good contacts so they have better information, I will do that because I promise
absolutely.
you I've got some really good resources that I trust 100%. So,
Absolutely. We will be adding that to the description after this is over.
okay.
So thank
Excellent.
you. Thank you for that. So
100%.
let's move on to our next news item. That wasn't actually part of the show for that one. But what did you have for us, Ryan?
So there is a case out of Washington that recently was brought up. Now this happened back in the 70s, but recently a man has brought allegations forward of somebody, a member inside of the congregation, who not abused just this young man, but also abused other children inside the Kingdom Hall who were in their teens. So what I want people to understand, it's so important about these statute laws, the statute of limitations when it comes to abuse for children. There's so much shame that happens when you're abused as a child. And sometimes it doesn't take until you're older till you finally are able to seek counseling and speak about the horrible things that happened to you. And that's what we're seeing happen. They've changed some of these statute laws in many of the states. And I suggest that you get up to date with your statute laws in your states, because that's the kind of things we should be asking about. Like when we're voting, like when we're picking, we want to make sure that we're protecting children. Then they always have the opportunity to come forward, no matter when it is. Because this person went on to abuse many more children. And that's just so disheartening when it could have been stopped.
Yes, it is disheartening when that happens.
It really is. Because the children are the true victims. They don't have a choice. There's nobody safe to go to when you're inside of high control religions, because ultimately anybody that you turn to, first and foremost, protecting the organization is going to be the first thing that they think of, regardless if they're your friend, your relative, it does not matter. That is the first thing that they think of, is protecting their relationship with the organization, their everlasting life. And if they feel as if you could get in the way of that, you're going down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have another story here. This actually is a few years old now. The date on this story is from 9/20/2019.
Okay.
And when I was looking up news about the Jehovah's Witnesses, this one actually kind of piqued my interest because there are three men, and they're still Jehovah's Witness men as of the article at least, that have been in prison for 25 years without a trial. And
Wow.
they are out of East Africa. I can't really pronounce the names or the towns real well, so I'm not going to even try to. But they have been imprisoned for basically taking a neutral stance in the military. And
The
we
old
know
neutral
how,
stance.
yeah, and we know how Jehovah's Witnesses are with that. They don't go to war. They're not supposed to work any jobs that have anything to do with the military and all that kind of stuff. And so they never have been charged or even given the opportunity to defend themselves in court. Now,
Oof,
I will say,
man.
if they're still witnesses, that I completely disagree with how their government is handling that with them. They should
Right.
have at least had a fair shake to have their rights for being able to take that stance one way or the other. Whatever the laws are in that country, I don't know what they
Right.
are, so I'm not going to presume what they are, but at least have their fair shake depending on what the laws are in their country. So I would definitely say that I disagree with how they handled that.
I agree with you. Even though I don't agree with the Jehovah's Witness organization, I do not feel that they should be singled out and punished in manners like that. That's really sad. How many years did you say? 20?
25 years.
Wow. Just because they didn't want to serve. They were politically neutral, I guess.
Exactly. And
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
and of course, like I said, that article was in 2019. So this is obviously 3 years after that right now, a little bit more
Okay.
than 3 years. Oh, hang on 1 minute. My daughter left her sketchbook in here. I got to give it to her.
No
So,
worries.
because she's got to
I
go to school. So I'll be right back.
That's okay. I'll start talking about what's happening in Norway.
Yeah, go right ahead. I'll be with you in just a minute.
So unless you've been living under a rock,
Where's it
and
at,
there's a
Sadie?
possibility maybe that you haven't heard, but the government of Norway is starting to put the pressure on the Jehovah's Witness organization. So I was doing some reading last night, and it looks like between Norway, Sweden, Iceland, probably Finland, I'm not even sure, because again, I only did some light reading yesterday, that they've been having trouble to even get themselves the state grants. from these governments, because all churches are able to receive money because they're supposed to turn that money back into their community, and that's less work for the government. It seems weird, right? They just hand over chunks of money to religious organizations and say, I'm sure you know what you're doing with it, but you don't have to be transparent exactly with what you're doing the money. Show me how that makes sense. So finally, in 2019, the Jehovah's Witness organization get approved in Norway and in Sweden for these grants. And then, okay, so they're fine in Sweden. It seems as so far Sweden is okay with giving them these grants. But Norway just got, so they just got approved in 2019, and then here by 2021 they've had it taken away from them, pulled the rug pulled out from underneath of them. I was just explaining that since 2019, well, actually since the early 2000s, the Jehovah's Witnesses have been fighting to try to get state grants from the governments of Sweden, Norway, Iceland, yada yada yada, finally get approved, and then Norway takes it away from them. And I kind of have a feeling if Norway does it, there's a possibility, because Iceland's already talking about it, that other ones will fall through too.
And I hope that other
Hope,
countries follow suit with that because,
right?
you know, it's important when you have a religion that is taking away your rights in a country. That religion should be, that religion should have their tax exempt taken away. They don't deserve to be in
Right,
that exempt status. Of course, I honestly don't believe any religion should be because all the taxes could really help out the world a whole lot more. But since we have it, especially more so when you're taking blatantly taking people's rights away, and then you have Anthony Morris, the hot dog man, wanting to go get up there and say that they're not going to get rid of these policies of theirs
right,
because this is our belief and this is our right, and they want to complain and go and bitch about their rights, but yet they want to take away the rights of everybody else. That's not how it works, Tony. You don't get it both ways. You get it one way
right.
or the other, and that's that. And you're going to have to deal with the consequences of you being a cult leader.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting how worldly he's behaving?
Yeah.
Every other church gets these state sanctions, and we want what the other churches have. There's over 700 churches that receive money in Norway, and why don't we get our money?
Well, guess what? I would love to have certain specific rights as a Jehovah's Witness, but I wouldn't be allowed to fight for them. I wouldn't be allowed to do the same exact thing that you're able to do. And I certainly couldn't do it with the ease because I wouldn't have the money and the power behind me. How's that
My
fair?
my dad's making a comment. He said if they did that in this country, there would be no religion.
He's right.
Yeah,
People would
absolutely.
probably really quick pick up on that.
Oh yeah. Could you imagine if, especially, just let's just take the Jehovah's Witnesses, forget all the other ones, if they had the laws in this country where you couldn't shun each other anymore? How many people would wake up just from that alone and be
Right.
like, you know what? The government took away the religion's ability to do this. It can't be God directed if the government can take away their power.
Ooh, make that make sense.
Exactly.
But
So,
but that is the mind of a cult. They will be able to manipulate any headline. I mean, just like they turned this into, like, oh, this is a sign of the times. We're being persecuted. See, we told you, just like Matthew said, we're going to be treated badly because we are known as Jehovah's people. And see, it's happening.
yep.
Meanwhile, you're punching people in the face and then saying, well, I'm allowed to do it. You signed up for this. This is okay. You signed up. You said you were okay with this.
And
And they
basically
just take it.
they're the bully saying, "Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?"
Yeah, they're
You
taking your
know?
hand.
They're-
Why?
ex- exactly. Exactly. Why are you
That's
hitting yourself?
exactly
Why
what
you,
they're doing.
I mean, come on, guys. And the sad part is when you step away from it and leave it, you see it so blatantly. And the and when you're in it, you don't see it that way, and you still want to defend it. And getting people to realize the abuse and the manipulation behind all this is what the really hard part is. But
It is.
anyways, that I'm going to wrap this up for today because this show's only meant to be 15, 20 minutes long, and we have hit that mark. So
We did it. Our
this is
first show.
episode 1. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Thank you, Ryan, for being my co-host with me. And
Absolutely.
we will see you all next week.
Stay tuned.